The origins and roots of Christianity. Christianity did not simply emerge from the teachings of a single man named Jesus. Rather, it was conceived within a long historical and religious context. Its roots lie in Judaism, and Jesus himself was born and raised within Jewish culture. Judaism developed around faith in God, the law, and the concept of chosen people, elements that laid foundational groundwork for early Christian theology. However, Christianity did not inherit only Jewish traditions. Concepts such as Zoroastrian dualism of good and evil influenced Jewish and Mithraistic ideas, which in turn shaped Christian theology and philosophy. Hellenistic philosophy, especially Platonism and Stoicism, also played significant roles in the formation of Christianity. Philo of Alexandria attempted to harmonize Hellenistic philosophy with Hebrew theology, and his ideas influenced first-century Palestine and laid the intellectual groundwork that Paul later built upon. Thus, Christianity can be seen as a complex religion formed through the fusion of Judaism, Zoroastrianism, and Greek philosophy. Interactions and influences from other religions. From its early days, Christianity developed through interaction with diverse religious and cultural traditions. Buddhism, like early Christianity, promised salvation from suffering and eternal peace, showing a remarkable ability to adapt across cultures. However, just as modern Buddhism has strayed from the original teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, modern Christianity also diverges in many ways from the original teachings of Jesus. Islam was seen by some as a response to the strict moral standards of Judaism and Christianity. Particularly noteworthy was the rivalry between Christianity and Midraism. At one point, the two religions coexisted and competed, with striking similarities such as sacred water rituals, baptism, and the Eucharistic sharing of bread and wine. However, Christianity's inclusion of women as full members of a community helped it gain dominance in the West. Christianity also interacted with the religious system of ancient Greece and Rome. Hellenistic philosophy shaped Christian ethics, while Rome's tolerance for different languages, ethnicities, and religions helped the spread of Christianity. Some early Christian readers even adopted elements from non-Christian cultures to make the religion more widely accepted. Key figures in the formation of Christianity. While Christianity began with Jesus Christ, its spread and theological development were significantly shaped by other key individuals. Jesus preached the gospel of God's fatherhood and human brotherhood, but after his death, many interpretations of his life and teachings emerged. Paul the Apostle, who initially persecuted followers of Jesus, became a passionate evangelist after his transformative experience on the road to Damascus. By preaching to the Gentiles, Paul integrated Jesus' teachings with Greek philosophy and laid the foundations for Christian theology. His epistle became crucial guidance for early Christian communities. However, some of his personal views, such as his negative stance on sexuality, also shaped Christian doctrines in ways that departed from Jesus' original message. Peter was also a central leader in early Christianity, while Luke, influenced by Paul, authored a gospel recording Jesus' life. Athanasius, who defended the divinity of Christ against Arius at the Council of Nicaea, played a pivotal role in establishing core Christian doctrine. Christianity today is the result of contributions, interpretations, and experiences of Jesus and many others who followed him. Core teachings of Christianity. The core message of Christianity centers on salvation from sin and the promise of holiness. This salvation refers not only to escape from external evil, but also to liberation from the self, the inner darkness within time and eternity. As Christianity transitioned from polytheism to a sublime monotheism, it elevated the concept of divine anthropomorphism, presenting Christ's personhood as the glorified idea of humanity merged with divinity. However, early Christian theology was shaped by the individual religious experiences of Philo, Jesus, and Paul, making it difficult to maintain doctrinal consistency. Paul's teachings, for example, reflected cultural elements of his time, such as asceticism, which influenced Christian views on sex and marriage. He presented Christ as the ultimate human sacrifice, ending the practice of animal and human sacrifice. Yet some argue that his emphasis on blood and sacrifice unnecessarily complicated Christian theology. Over time, Christianity evolved into religion about Jesus rather than the religion of Jesus, obscuring the original gospel of God's fatherhood and the human brotherhood. The historical impact of Christianity. Christianity began in the land of Judea, but quickly spread across the Roman Empire. Initially embraced by the lower classes, by the early 2nd century, even Greco-Roman elites began converting to the Christian faith. Christianity's success can be attributed to a combination of factors: the synthesis of Hellenistic philosophy and Hebrew theology, its promise of moral salvation and eternal life, and its basis in historical events. Christianity became deeply integrated with Hellenistic culture. Greek philosophy greatly influenced Christian ethical values, while Rome's political unity and cultural homogeneity created a favorable environment for Christianity's expansion. Roman virtues and a sense of moral responsibility helped make the religion appealing. However, as Christianity became more assimilated into Western culture, it began to lose its universal appeal and was increasingly seen as a religion of the white race. Despite this, Christianity survived the fall of the Roman Empire and became the spiritual foundation of Western civilizations, later revitalized in various forms after Renaissance. Major issues and criticism of Christianity. The Urantia Book points out several issues and criticisms in the development of Christianity. First, theological inconsistency was inevitable due to the differing personal experiences of Philo, Jesus, and Paul. Additionally, excessive focus on Jesus' personality rather than his teachings made it harder for followers of other religions like Judaism, Islam, and Hinduism to embrace Christianity. Christianity also observed many pagan elements as it interacted with Gentile cultures, which diluted its purity and led to loss of many of Jesus' essential teachings. As Christianity became institutionalized, it became entangled with social, economic, and political structures, weakening its original spiritual mission. Furthermore, modern Christianity has become fragmented, making it difficult to effectively communicate the gospel to non-Christian societies. Its overemphasis on social and material issues has delayed the spiritual renaissance that Jesus envisioned. The problem of Christian institutionalization. Early Christianity was entirely free from civil obligations, social contracts, or economic alliances. Over time, however, institutional Christianity became deeply woven into the political and social structure of Western civilization. Although some level of institutionalization was inevitable, it also brought numerous challenges. The church became an ally of politics and a part of society's power structures, sharing in the intellectual and spiritual decline of Europe's Dark Ages. Religion during this time grew increasingly monastic, ascetic, and legalistic. The institutionalization also led to the formation of various denominations and sects, weakening Christian unity and complicating evangelism. The visible institutional church often hinders the development of the individual spiritual brotherhood of God. The true church, the brother of Jesus, is invisible, spiritual, and defined by unity, though not uniformity. Uniformity is a material trait. Spiritual unity arises from living faith in Jesus. The future direction of Christianity. The Urantia Book emphasizes that modern Christianity faces new challenges, and its future depends on a return to the original teachings of Jesus. There is a pressing need to rediscover the human Jesus buried beneath centuries of theology and traditions. The Nazarene Jesus, overshadowed by the glorified Jesus, must once again be embraced as the ideal for personal religious living. Christianity must stop defending social systems and industrial policies and instead human return to the cross. Learning anew from Jesus the living gospel of God's fatherhood and human brotherhood, it must seek to transform the world not through compulsion or traditions, but through the free spirit of service and the loving devotion of second mile. Modern culture must be spiritually baptized with a new revelation of Jesus' life and enlightened by a fresh understanding of his eternal message of salvation. To achieve this, we need a new generation of spiritual leaders who rely solely on Jesus and his unparalleled teachings. These reborn souls will provide the inspirations and leadership needed to reorganize society, morality, economics, and politics. Though Christianity is facing spiritual decline due to formalism, over-organizations, and electoralism, a renewed understanding and practice of Jesus' teaching could restore its power to address the complexities of the modern world.